what is it that you need to be taking? What's going on with your health? How do I help you to prevent getting sick? All of those things. The mental health aspect of this is becoming very obvious to me very quickly. So while I had a few minutes in between appointments, I just wanted to, hey, you guys jumping on. I wanted to speak to just a few ideas now that everyone is quarantining themselves and, staying at home and practicing social distancing. There's very much a real, good morning, really a mental health executive functioning piece to this. So I will come back at some point and speak to this idea of like elderberry and echinacea and some of the other things I'm getting questions about, because that's a whole other piece. Some of my clients, like myself, there are things I can't take because of my own health challenges and issues. My own immune system is already upregulated. So there are things I wouldn't take that I would tell my clients to take. So, and I can't give medical advice. There's been a bit of a shift with social media. I think some of you are noticing we're all needing to be very careful what we say. And if we're just kind of doing this blanket recommendation around how should everyone take care of themselves. So I want to make sure I'm being very mindful and conscious of saying appropriate things for the general population. So I will come back and speak to some of the health aspects of things. But this is about you're at home and you're not used to being at home. Now, the naturopath in me is very much concerned about the fact that everyone's at home and you need to be like opening the windows and things like that and making sure you're getting air transfers and all those things. Everybody's not used to being at home at this level, and having the windows closed down and having air fresheners plugged in and all these different things. Like from a detox perspective, I have lots of opinions about those things that I would just want to kind of put out there and make sure your environment is healthy and safe. And again, I'll speak to some of this later. With being at home and being organized, what I'm telling my clients in my practice, get up, maintain a schedule, get dressed like you're going somewhere. So it doesn't have to be what you would wear into the office, but you do need to stay on your same schedule. This is not a time to tinker with the schedule at all. I get asked that a lot. The brain is cued by a lot of external triggers. So it is expecting you to have the external prompt of having to go somewhere, having to respond to an alarm, having to get dressed for something. So this isn't the time to start tinkering. You're psychologically grieving a loss. That is the backdrop. All of us are trying to make sense of what the implications of all of this are. And there's this low-level grieving that we haven't even tapped into yet, and we're trying to stay above. The last thing you need to do psychologically is to start to destabilize your neurological aspect of your brain. It needs familiarity. It needs predictability. It needs something that looks like structure in all of this kind of chaos, right? So some of you are blessed. I've got some of my clients where their kids immediately went to virtual education, right? They went to teleeducation, yesterday. Some of you, it's going to be 2 weeks. Some of you, I'm hearing it's indefinite. Your kids are out of school until sometime in April, and you don't know like what you're going to be doing with them for right now. So I am hearing every version of everything, and my heart, my God, goes out to everyone. Because my own clients are hurting because they're so overwhelmed. And I'm thinking, what about all those people who were not in therapy before this happened? So I thought I just wanted to jump on and give you just a few survival tips, right? So if your kids are already on a schedule, you are working a schedule with them, hopefully, right? Because they're helping you to anchor to something that feels like normalcy. Those of you whose kids are just kind of off and you're trying to work and all these things, I have recommended to my families, you need to have a family meeting, meet with your spouse first and come up with some rules of engagement for this next 2 to 4 weeks. What do you want to see for yourselves and what do you want to see for the family? And what do you want to see with devices and screen time? Because screen time addiction is an issue in my practice. And I think this is something you want to be mindful of right now? What do you want to see for activity? How do you want the children to be entertaining themselves? What do you want your exercise to look like? Eating habits, access to kitchen. Think about some of these things. Kids getting up. What time do they need to be getting up? I've helped some of my families work on what time will the kids be getting up. And there are alarms being set. There are alarms for the kids being set for taking supplements, taking medication, what time lunchtime needs to happen. Your children are used to a schedule. We are all used to structure and schedule. And you do not realize how much you are dependent on externalized structure until you have to come up with your own structure. So I want to just encourage you, above anything else, really think about meeting with your spouse and then having a family meeting about what all we're going to do from a scheduling perspective. What's okay, maybe what's not okay right now from a TV access, screen time, getting up, getting outside sort of thing. Make sure you have that schedule. Make sure everybody's getting up, taking showers, getting dressed. Like, make it feel more normal, because then the world won't feel as scary to all of us, because we're managing some sort of routine, because everything is very chaotic for us right now. So you control the controllables, right? Let's see. I wanted you to make sure you're getting organized. TVs for my adults needing to work, because I have been really trying to have direct conversations with my adults in my practice who have attention deficit and executive functioning challenges, because that is the bulk of my practice. That's primarily what I work on with people. If you are supposed to be working at home, try to put yourself someplace where you do not have access to a television, and shut off the phone. Or there's some apps for turning off access to social media and things like that. But really be strict with yourself around, from this time to this time I'm working. If you're used to getting up, walking around and interacting with other, colleagues or coworkers, what I tell clients, because of my ADHD practice, is to use the Pomodoro Technique. So you're going to work for 45 minutes and then you get a 10 or 15 minute break. You're going to work for 45 to 60 minutes. You're going to get a 10 or 15 minute break. Naturally, unconsciously, what we typically do is we're able to work initially after we settle ourselves for about 60 to 90 minutes. And then we take a 15 to 20 minute recovery. Then we work for 60. Then we typically take a longer recovery. Then we will work for maybe 30 to 45. And then we're taking another recovery, and maybe it's lunchtime at that point. Okay. You're going to want to really look at how you lay your schedule out. I put a post up from attitude.mag. Take a peek at that. It was a little humorous, but there's some reality in there about walking into the kitchen and seeing you need to clean it, walking into another room and seeing something you need to do, and pretty soon you're not working anymore, and you're not used to all this distraction. This isn't a psychological thing. This is neurologically, your brain is super dependent on prompting. So it's used to cues in its environment for how it's supposed to behave. So when it sees a messy kitchen on a normal basis, that doesn't occur at work. So now work time has now this intrusion of, oh, there's my laundry. Oh, there's my kitchen. And your brain's very confused about what it's supposed to be doing. So you need some rules around how you're supposed to navigate this particular time. So I would recommend being very strict around where is work happening and what is the schedule around that. So stay off the social and stay away from the TV. And get the activity and exercise going, right? If you've seen my previous video, and I said this one's not about health, but I will do something about all of that in another video. But this is not a time to be sitting around and not getting outside for so many reasons. Physically, it's not great. You need to be getting outside, getting space because of lymphatic movement and deep breathing and protecting the lungs, but also psychologically, you need to get some space and see some different things and get beyond your home. So make sure you're working in time to get outside. And the YMCA is closed. A lot of the gyms have closed. And so try to find a resource online for exercising. That will help with mood disorders. My clients that struggle with anxiety and depression, who are very dependent on schedules in getting to the gym, I'm absolutely requiring that they do their workouts in the morning, and it's structured, and it's, it's the non-negotiable. I personally, for a while now, have been using the Obey app and Neo Fitness app, and I've recommended to a number of clients. There's 360 Fitness, I think. I always say the name of this wrong, but there are so many streaming services right now. There is not an excuse to not be working out. A lot of these streaming services have live classes. Obey has classes like every hour throughout the day, and is a worthwhile investment. You have got to prioritize exercise during this time, because your brain is seeking out some level of stability, and we're just getting started with all of this, right? We don't know where we're going to land, and we're already starting to see scary things about people getting sick and jobs and all kinds of things. So I want you to really protect your mental well-being. What I'm feeling in my practice has got me a little concerned. I'm like, if these are my clients and I have taught them so well, I wonder how everyone else is doing. So I really just want to recommend that you just be careful with yourself, right? We've never been through anything like this before, and we don't know where we're going to land on every level, health-wise, financially, it's a very confusing time. And so, like I mentioned earlier, there is a silent grieving that's occurring that we're not even talking about yet, because some of us are still trying to get toilet paper and supplies, but that's coming. And I want you to be proactive. I want you to know what's ahead of you and be ready. Okay. All right. So I must go because I do have an appointment. I hope this was helpful, you guys. If you jumped on later, please go back and listen to it. And I'll be doing more of these as we all try to navigate this. You take care.